Welcome to Spirit Club, a podcast and community where we talk about what's really running the show, your inner world. I'm Angel, your host, your guide, and your spiritual bestie. Around here, we're all about doing the inner work because your outer reality is only ever a reflection of what's going on within. We practice radical ownership, freedom in faith, surrendering our path to God, and trusting our intuition like our lives depend on it. Because honestly, they do. So take a breath, open your heart, and let's dive in. Welcome, Spirit Club. I have yet another exciting guest. Today we have Jonathan Robinson, certified hypnotherapist and past life regression practitioner. And with all the subconscious reprogramming work we do here at Spirit Club, I'm kind of shocked I have yet to bring on a hypnotherapist. So really excited to get into this topic and your work today. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hello, and thank you.
Yeah, great. There's something about past lives that I'm sure you've noticed because it's the work that you do that people get real curious about. Am I right?
Yeah, it's like unlocking a different paradigm to what our reality is, and it's opened the doors for many people through a lot of books by Dolores Cannon and Michael Newton, and
Mm-hmm.
just the sheer volume of people that can do this.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Okay, well, we'll get into more, but first, a little ice breaking. Um, do you happen to know your sun, moon, rising in astrology?
I'm Cancer and Aries rising.
Cancer, sun, Aries rising?
Yep. I've been
Okay.
looking into that more with my spiritual friends, and it's not as vague as the newspaper horoscope tells you if you know all the info, and it
Mhm.
explains a lot about our mood and a lot of things. So, yes.
Yes.
What-
And so what have you connected to so far in what you've learned about yourself and your placements?
Well, not only a full moons give me a ton of energy. You know,
Mm.
if we think about our body as physical, and then we have emotional body and energy body, it makes sense that these large planets can pull our emotion or energy different ways and influence
Mhm.
us like the tides.
Mhm.
So it's been pretty validating on some of these things that I like to be around people. I'm athletic, but maybe nurturing on the inside is what it kind of tells me and shows me a lot. And then I'm shifting like a butterfly or a dragonfly through time. The astrology shifts, and it explained that shift that took place recently as well.
Okay, wow. Yeah. Those charts, I haven't learned a lot about, I think they're called progressive charts, but how things change over time. But there's just endless learning once you get into astrology. But I will
Yeah.
say, and you'll hear this if you listen to Spirit Club at all, that I seem to collect cancers. So there's a lot of cancers that come on the show. And it's interesting what you say about full moons impacting you because Cancer is ruled by the moon, and I'm a Cancer rising, and I do find the moons impact me a lot. And if some people they don't, some people they do, and I wonder if it has something to do with this planet that rules us.
Yeah. And you know what? The South Node in astrology and all astrologies is past lives. So
Aha!
South Node is very prominent in my chart, I believe. And
And
so,
do you know what sign your South Node's in?
I don't, but I knew my past lives shaped a little, impacted me to who I am today,
Hmm.
and it kind of I'll go over the proof more about what I do with past lives, but every astrology has the South Node, and it's very widely, commonly just accepted as past lives.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. I have Scorpio South Node, Taurus North Node, and then I have a whole bunch of placements in North in Taurus. And so North Node is like our purpose in this life, what we're reaching towards, whereas South Node is like where we kind of came from. So it's interesting that for me, my North Node is also just like so much of my makeup, so that they really align that way, which is nice for me. Anyway, moving on. So, Jonathan, this podcast is all about doing the inner work so that you can create what it is that you want to experience in this life in the outer. So, I'm curious right now, personally, in your life, what inner work is alive and present for you right now?
Wow. I just so I just moved to a new city. I moved to Austin from Michigan. Big
Yes.
change.
Yeah.
So I'm realigning with my high vibe tribe. So, a lot of spiritual people have we're kind of spread out, so we think we're all alone, but really there's so many of us out there, and so just reaching out, getting out to psychic fairs and festivals and things that you like to do, you'll attract that crowd. And so I'm more leaning toward doing what I love to do and I'm passionate about, making my wellness a priority, and then meeting people in the community. I'm joining a wellness center here as a practitioner with a healing room. So I've been really open to getting past the self sabotage and stagnancy. And this year has been a huge shift for me on the inside, just doing things I never knew I could do. I'm teaching hypnosis now. I'm developing an app. The business, is going really good. So, and just doing what I'm passionate about doing, because I tried to work 9 to 5s and it just didn't work for me. So even though every day I get up, it's really difficult. I'm working on being more consistent and tenacious and creative. So.
Wow, good for you. It's scary stuff, putting yourself out there all the time and moving to a new place, connecting with new people. And as a Cancer sun, I'm sure sometimes you're just like, I would like to just go be in my cave. But yeah, good for you. I also moved this year, and it takes some effort to really make sure that you're constantly getting out of your comfort zone.
So it's and we don't grow in our comfort zone, so it's okay to be a little uncomfortable. Be okay with being uncomfortable, to make changes that are positive for your life.
Here, here. Awesome. Okay. Well, Jonathan, let's get into it. I would love to know what brought you to hypnotherapy and past life regression. What's your story?
Well, my friends said I had a very good bedtime story voice, very calm,
Oh.
grounded voice. So I said, what can I do with that? And I really vibed with the hypnotherapist. I work for a holistic healing company and interviewed thousands of practitioners. So I got to know all the different modalities.
Hmm.
I vibed with hypnotherapy and energy healing and Reiki, and breath work the most. So there's all so many different modalities, guys. If you don't know them all, well, no one can. But don't stop if there's an illness or dis-ease or whatever it is. For every drug out there, there's a natural remedy that can achieve the same effect but better with less side effects. So um, me, like most practitioners, I don't say healers because I don't heal anyone. I just hold space for them to heal themselves,
Hmm.
and get that empowerment. But I had many different ailments and whatnot that Western medicine failed me. And then I found hypnotherapy and Reiki, and it healed me. And I want to share my secrets with the world with this incredible superpower tool called hypnosis that can help the subconscious be to for us to make these improvements.
Hmm. And so, if you wouldn't mind, because we're going to go deeper, I would love to know what exactly were you struggling with? Like, what is it that hypnotherapy helped you with?
Yeah, I'll share two things in my journey. One was I hurt my back wakeboarding, and I went to the doctor, and he said, "Well, you're gonna have to take pills and get surgery in a few years." And I said, "You're fired." and I hired a yoga therapist, a strength trainer, and a PT expert, and I decompressed my spine, strengthened my core. No pills, no surgery, completely fine. And a
Cool.
few weeks later. So that kind of got me to thinking about the root cause, like not just
Mhm.
masking pain, not putting a band-aid on it, but how do we get to the root cause to really create these changes? And 8 years ago, I did my first hypnosis session. I loved it. The next day, I won a disc golf tournament. I never
Yeah.
won an award like that before. And I was the top sales guy in my company. I got into a relationship that I was kind of afraid of moving toward. And I'm like, wow, that was one session, and I, had all these amazing results. And I'm like, what else can this thing do? Because a lot of us have the ability and the skill and the talent, but something's holding us back internally in our mind. And we
Mhm.
can break through those limiting beliefs, whether they're from childhood or challenges or PTSD or whatever it is, with hypnotherapy in one or a few sessions. And that's, to me, is remarkable how people so quickly can make these changes.
Amazing. Limiting beliefs is like all we talk about on here. Because truly, to me as well, Jonathan, with every belief that I break through, my life changes because I change my inner world. And so my outer world has to reflect those changes. And, I do believe that you can get quite a bit done on the conscious level, depending on how ready you are to let go of that belief. But there is a subconscious component, and there are all these different modalities that you can turn to, like you said, to address the subconscious component, hypnotherapy being a super powerful one. So, can you tell us why it is so powerful at addressing the subconscious limiting belief?
Yeah, so the subconscious our runs our reality. 95% of what we do is our habits and our subconscious. So think of an iceberg, but the tip of the iceberg is our conscious mind, and beneath that is our subconscious mind, the bulk of the that iceberg. And when we are able to reprogram our subconscious in a one session, we can make changes that are lasting, getting the root cause. And what happens is we are able to relax to a deep state of relaxation. We're never, if anyone out there has never done hypnosis before, it's not scary, it's not unknown, it's actually really natural. We go in and out of hypnosis about 12 times per day. And when we watch TV, we go into alpha frequency,
Mm.
and that's why they call it programming. So if you're scared of hypnosis, don't watch the media. And so in
Okay.
a therapy session, we go to theta. Theta is the frequency of hypnosis, and we're aware, it's a heightened state of awareness, that our body's very relaxed. So if you've been driving and you kind of think about a thought and you go on autopilot, maybe you make a wrong turn or show up somewhere you didn't expect to, that's because you're thinking about that thought. Your inner reality was in that theta frequency. We go into it before bed and when we wake up and throughout the day. So it's really natural, and a hypnotherapist can guide you to that deep state of relaxation very easily. And once we're in there, the conscious mind is open to absorbing powerful, positive suggestions that become your reality very, very quickly. So I do it every day for performance and confidence and things like that. I just like the feeling. Meditation is very calm as well. However, with the voice guiding you, it's so much easier because you don't have to jumble
Well,
around your thoughts or surprise. You're
mhm.
just listening to the voice, relaxing your breathing, body, and mind. And yeah, it can be everyone can do it too. You can do it online, and it's one of my favorite modalities to help people with.
Amazing. And so I did some hypnotherapy training, and I didn't end up taking it to the end because I was so into my intuitive work at the time that I was like, ah, I, my attention's here now. But when we were training, we were doing a lot with metaphors, and not a ton with giving, what's the word?
Direct suggestions.
Thank you. Direct suggestions. what are you doing? Are you doing direct suggestions under hypnosis, or are you doing more metaphor, or both, or?
Yeah, great question, and that's great that you know about what we do here. It's hypnotherapy. It's great, and so and I teach it now too, and it doesn't take months or years to learn. It takes a few months and then practice. So it's just like a guided meditation. I often tell people, and the subconscious, yes, does not speak rationally with logic and reasoning. It speaks with metaphors and colors and textures and shapes and stories. So um, I do a lot of the bulk of it is spiritual work. So yes, a lot of metaphors and intertwined with direct and indirect suggestions and um, there's different types of hypnotherapy, and I listened to thousands of hypnotherapy sessions before, to get to where I am, and I combine a little bit of this, a little bit of this style, and these techniques, NLP. I throw them all together because suggestions are like ping pong balls. You throw them up, and you might catch a few. So someone's subconscious might not like a few of those suggestions, but a lot of them they're gonna be absorbing into them. And so I think other hypnotherapists should combine multiple different techniques into their sessions, and it's more powerful that way.
Yes. Oh, I love this stuff. I guide people through meditations and healings, and it's kind of similar. I don't think I'm getting them as deep theta because that's sort of like the piece that I lack training in, but it is so powerful when you can combine all your own intuitive skill set and so on. Um, and what I have noticed with my clients is there are some beliefs that are more ready to go than others. Do you find this as well? Like, do you find that there are some that are a little more stubborn in the subconscious?
Yeah, yeah. We have our conscious beliefs that two people can be in a car accident and one person could believe that it's traumatic and, this happened. Another person can walk away fine, like it's okay. So we all have subconscious beliefs and challenges, but it's going to be different for everybody. That's why we customize and we use our intuition to help loosen the grip on some of those beliefs that may not be serving us. There's also unconscious beliefs that we're unaware of that could have happened when we were, 4 years old or younger. So that's like abandonment or fear of, being, scared, or fight or flight has just been on for many, many years. And so to get to the root cause, yeah, we need to identify the, the what happened, and that subconscious will protect you. It's stuck in the body somewhere until it gets released. So that's what we help do in one or a few sessions with you. You help people with that. I help people with that, and it the body keeps score is a really good book that a lot of therapists have to read. And until we release that emotion that's trapped somewhere, it stays with us. It's like trying to protect us. Basically, it's a firewall.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess the how ready we are to lose that protection is how hard we're going to hold on to that belief.
Yeah, I ask them, "Are you ready to release this?" A
Mm.
lot of times because, it served its purpose for many years, whatever it may be. But yeah, the change works best when the client is ready, they're willing, they're open-minded, and it won't work as good or if they're not ready. So being
Mhm.
ready and using different modalities to get there and
Mhm.
peel back the layers of the shadow work.
Yes, yes. Okay, so then past life, another layer. What brought you to past life regression? Was it something that you layered on? Was it something you experienced personally and then wanted to bring in? Did it happen organically? Tell me more.
Yeah, yeah, and I encourage everyone to do their own research with past lives. There's so much out there. I'll go over some of the validity in a little bit, but if you've never heard of the concept, it's similar to reincarnation, and currently over half the world believes in reincarnation from religion, Hinduism, Judaism, Jainism, Taoism. That's all the West and India and whatnot. That's just how it is. However, what I do and with spiritual work, it's we're less religious, more spiritual, and so with past life regression, I think it's so fascinating, interesting. How does the brain, which we conceive as physical, remember times before this lifetime? And one
Mhm.
after another, all my clients go into their past lives, and we uncover birthmarks, the origin of birthmarks, fears, phobias that have no forever feelings, that have no explanation from this lifetime. So imagine your life like a book, and currently we're on the current chapter of your current life now. The previous pages are your chapters, perhaps, are your other lifetimes that you've lived prior, and the future pages are blank. However, they could be written in because time is not linear, it is all happening at once.
Mhm.
Uh, but to conceptualize it easily, we call it past lives because that's how human minds conceptualize a story, beginning, middle, and end. And there's many books like Dolores Cannon, Michael Newton that really go in depth. Brian Weiss, Edgar Casey, some books by them about past lives, and it's become a huge I would want to say fad, but it's lasting. It's not going to go away. It's
Mhm.
more people are just reading, understanding these concepts, and everyone can do it. Is the cool thing. It's like an experiment. We can do the same meditation with over and over again with people from all different cultures, and they can all go into their past lives, hundreds, if not thousands, of past lives for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's interesting as you were describing, like explaining past lives, the concept of it, it kind of like took me back because it's so in this community, the Spirit Club community and in my bubble, it's so normalized. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, we know it. Yeah. That's a given at this point. And it's so incredible that that's become a given that I wouldn't even consider someone not believing in them. Certainly there are. Um, and I remember when I was doing hypnotherapy training, I remember the first watching my first past life regression she did with one of the students. It was fascinating how many lives she went through. I think it was in that she must have done 10. And like you said, it's just like, you're not controlling it. It's just like what wants to be revealed. And so, what in particular is so healing about past lives?
Wow, yes. It's what we do is we see metaphors, we see patterns, we see cycles, we see um, whatever you're currently working on now, the challenges it's all to help the current life. Your past lives you see in about 5 years might be different than the ones you see today based on your current challenges. So I typically bring people to three past lives in a session. It's about 3 hours long. It's a longer session. And what's remarkable is the higher self is guiding it, not me or the
Mm.
client. The higher self will bring you to the most meaningful moments, and it won't show you anything you're not ready to see. So you can level up spiritually. However, we go through patterns or cycles. I don't know if anyone's noticed, like if you don't speak your truth, the universe will continue to put people in your life that will challenge you until you pass the test. And with past life regression, we can identify maybe lifetimes of patterns or cycles. Well, if you've been a leader, maybe you've been a leader in a past life, we can identify skills and abilities that are positive and reinforce those. But also, we can identify challenges, traumas, and things maybe holding you back. So we get to the root cause of that feeling or emotion or whatever it is. We release it from it gets stuck, and then we release it, moving forward into clarity, and it helps really gives people confidence moving forward that they've done it once, they can do it again.
And do they remember? Do they remember the past lives that have come up in the session?
Yeah, yeah. So and so unlike maybe a Akashic records reading where someone's telling you about your past lives, my clients they can remember it. They're awake and aware the whole time, and they're viewing it like a daydream, like a movie. Their eyes are closed, but they're seeing with their third eye, and it's showing them visions, glimpses, knowings, feelings. They're experiencing those past lives first person they look around, they see their hands, feet, they
Mm-hmm.
and the higher self just brings it to them, and they're reporting back to me what's happening. So they're actually talking to me a lot, like, "Oh, okay, I'm in a jungle or I'm in a desert. Oh, I'm in a battlefield and we're fighting this, and so yeah, I do record the audio and then send them the audio after because it's a longer session, but yeah, they're very aware.
Mm. So, the main reasons one might, other than pure curiosity, that one might want a past life healing would be things like deep fears that go beyond this lifetime, phobias, um, maybe something that like you really feel stuck with, that like you can't seem to budge in this lifetime, particular relationships that kind of keep coming up, stuff like that.
Yeah, wow, you hit most of the most common reasons. Yeah, that's really good. And so, yeah, people feel stuck and they don't know what to do. A lot of my clients feel stuck. They're there, but Einstein said we can't get out of this problem with the same thinking we got into the problem with. So we
Mm.
kind of recalibrate that. It's much like a psychedelic therapy because the neural pathways afterward are open to new changes and opportunities. And so it helps release things and also work toward new ones. And I'll tell you a quick story. I had a session years ago, and this lady was 500 pounds. She was very heavy, and she didn't know why. She tried all the different things, pills, juice cleanses, nothing worked. She couldn't lose the weight. We went into a past life of her in the I believe it was Europe 500 years ago. She was a beautiful, very attractive woman. Men and women adored her. She was so stunningly beautiful, and she was part of the king's concubines, the servant of the king, so she had a higher status. And one day, she had a great life, she said, but one day the bad king took over. He poisoned the good king. And when he did that, he would pick her a lot to be with her a lot and even to serve him. But that was like torture for her. She did not like it. He mistreated all the women, but she was picked on the most. And from that, she started eating compulsively to gain weight, to not be attractive anymore,
Mm.
for comfort, for stability, and so she wouldn't get picked anymore. And so she made a vow to never be beautiful again. Well, that vow carried over to lifetimes and lifetimes until we're at her current life, and we were able to recognize it, release it, and after the session, she lost hundreds of pounds, getting her life back
Wow,
essentially. So that's
incredible.
one where that emotion that it was subconscious was protecting her, adding a barrier from getting hurt again, and that was the best way it knew how at the time. We were able to help fix that.
Mm, incredible. Yes. And how about you? Have you personally done any past life healing for yourself that has made changes to your life?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, the first time I did this, I thought I was making it up because it was so vivid. I was an Indian woman, actually, a well-off Indian woman, and it explained a lot about my relationship with my sister as well, and my uncle, who was my dad in that lifetime. And he's really wealthy. He was like a king in that lifetime, so it explains that. But my sister and I, she was the older brother in that past life, and I was a younger sister. Now it's reversed, and we bicker sometimes, but it was because she would always get all the credit for everything, and I didn't. So it explained that relationship more. And I did. That's common though for a lot of people to think they're making it up at first, in my
Hmm.
sessions and a lot of sessions, but just go with the flow. You'll be shown more. And some of these synchronicities are so profound that it's almost impossible that you could be making all this up. We get to the root cause of things. I had a lady, she was a horse breeder in her past life, and in this life, she always drew horses when she was 4 years old. Well, it, you
Oh,
know, explains, yeah, a lot of that.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and the dialogue, I'm afraid I'm making this up. I mean, that's something that I find people are met with often who are exploring themselves, exploring their intuition, learning to trust themselves. We've sort of been taught not to. And so our first instinct will always be to doubt ourselves, to look for proof because we can't possibly believe ourselves. But I feel like this is an important shift that's happening collectively, is that we just need to, as a baseline, trust ourselves. Just, it's okay. It's okay. Don't be afraid that you're making it up. Just trust yourself, you know?
Yeah, trust yourself, trust the universe, being patient and consistent with what you're doing, and the higher self think of the higher self as a pure version of you, and we can only take a fraction of that into these bodies at the current time. Earth is raising its frequency. There's a 26,000 year cycle around elliptical cycle the Earth goes through, and right now we're going into Aquarius where we're raising our vibration. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed the solar flares and Schumann resonance is shifting. So we will shift into being more conscious and aware of our higher self, but it's always guiding us. So asking is important. A lot of times they say you have to ask. We can't interfere unless we ask. So we need to ask for guidance, and like the meditation you led us on at the beginning of this um, episode. I really love that. So asking for guidance or ascended masters or angels, just asking, and the universe will deliver. Um, Trust that your ideal situation will come out. So if you have a job interview or first date or going on vacation, you imagine that you're going to have a good time. Everything's going to work out for you. I always tell people to use your luck, because if you don't use it, you can't get it back. So use your luck, and and know that the abundance, and trust that abundance is within you.
Hmm. Here, here. And so I'm thinking about these like these wounds, these traumas that we carry with us from past lives. And I'm thinking, why? Like why do we carry some and not others? You know, I read Journey of Souls, and it's really focusing sort of on that time between lives, on that in between, whether or not we can look at it in a linear way like that, but this sort of choosing of the soul contract for this life. And I'm like, why are we holding on to stuff? Why wouldn't we up there be like, okay, I'm not going to take this? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like the way you asked that. And so we incarnate with a mission or kind of a soul's contract. And if we didn't complete our mission last life, we may come back and have
Mm,
to complete it then, because we're here for several reasons. We're here to learn and progress. We're here to help others and be in service. We're here to celebrate. This earth is like a campground, and I've been taught to leave the campground nicer than you found it. So making a positive impact. A lot of that is being your true authentic self, which a lot of people are afraid to be. But with hypnosis, we can get confidence in that. And so when we after we drop the body or the death scene, we do go to a healing center to be healed from our earth trauma, because it's tough here. It's hard. We wake up with amnesia. We're not sure why we're here. And so if what I found mostly with to answer the question about why some things carry over and some things don't, if it's a death scene or a very traumatic event with an emotional charge, that will carry over because the subconscious wants to protect us from it happening again. I'll give you an example. This man was a Native American Indian, and he was in a past life, he was jumping across the river trying to impress a girl. Well, he slipped, fell over the waterfall, broke his shoulder. His shoulder had a huge birthmark on it and was aching pain. And in that lifetime, he couldn't draw back a bow. He lost his love of his life, the girl, and he just used his body so much that he couldn't use it anymore. It was really tough on him emotionally and physically. So that challenge that carried over to this lifetime in the form of aches and pains in the shoulder and a birthmark. And after we identified the root cause, he was able to clear that. The birthmark was still there, but it faded actually, but the aches and pains went away. I had another client who had severe trust issues with men, and he was scared of Chris knives, the swirly knives that Aladdin had. And at midnight in a past life in London, he was stabbed in the heart. He had a birthmark on his heart. He was stabbed in the back with a knife, and he had trust issues because it was a man that did it, a stranger. So those lessons carry over if it's too much. If it's
Mm,
think it'll help. So yeah.
yeah, too much to. So it sounds to me like it's often around like the death of that life, the end of that life, because there was no way to, like, if you died, you didn't get to process it, you didn't get to work through it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
personally, I know in my heart that there's a past life around being trapped, um, suffocating, something like this, like dying in that way. And sometimes I think about, I'm like, should I go clear that out? Like, for the most part, it's not impacting my life unless, like, I accidentally get into a really small space and I'm going to lose my mind. And
Oh my
I have pretty
goodness.
good control over my mind. I mean, like, I'm a regular meditator and all these sorts of things, and I can rely on those tools. But this fear is so deep. It is so deep that I'm like, should I just go clear that bad boy out? What do you think?
Wow. And it's very wonderful you're aware of that, and it's a deep wound, and yeah, it's unconscious sometimes of where it comes from. I just did a session with a lady from California a few months ago, a singer. She used her voice, and she was afraid to go in elevators. She had claustrophobia, and she would bring snacks with her in case she got stuck. And she would actually text her mom every time she would go in an elevator. It was so normal for her. So everyone out there, think about something that's normal for you, but we don't know where it comes from. But it's kind of normalized it at this point, even though for others it might be a rare thing that you think too much about. So she also mentioned she's doesn't want to go to Egypt. She's scared. A psychic told her if you go there, bad things will happen. And so we did a past life session. The higher self brought her to a few past lives. I suggested, because I can do this if it's beneficial, if you have a draw to a certain country or a deja vu moment or reoccurring dreams, and you know a little bit about that past life, I can guide you to that past life.
Mm.
Um, and so I guided her to Egypt, where she was a priestess. She would sing. She was beautiful. She had so many friends, and she used her voice just like she's doing now. So that carried over. And she reported that the pharaoh was very angry and mean. He treated people horrible. And one day, we went to a significant day, which was the day she was stood up for the rest of the priestesses, was punished for using her voice. She was punished and sent to the dungeon where she was shivering. She told me it was very cold and musty. She was locked in a 6 by 6 cellar door for good. She ended up starving to death. So it identified
I
her
would do
root
it.
cause of that elevator, her voice. So we cleared that emotion with these techniques I do, and her voice actually sounds more confident. The tone is different, so it was, yeah,
Yeah,
really remarkable. Yeah,
I'm sure it would make that shift. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess you also don't know what shift it could create in you. I'm thinking in my case in particular, who knows where the fear of being trapped is living in my reality in other ways?
yeah. So I'd guide you to the root cause of that feeling, and it could be, the reason a lot of adults have childhood issues is because we are in theta until age 8. So we're
Mhm.
in theta, the frequency of hypnosis. That's why I always tell people it's really great to be positive with children. Say they can do anything. They have so much opportunity, that instead of scarcity with children, because they will, whatever they learn from 0 to 8 is going to shape their reality in a significant way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the work you do, the work I do, the work we're all doing. Although there's something about these newer generations that's coming in that, like, I feel like they're not picking up the small t trauma that we all picked up, all the limiting beliefs, there's something about their frequency that is just like, no, we're not doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I substitute taught actually last year. So I'm, everyone out there who's a maybe you're going doing spirituality as a lifestyle, which we should too. However, a lot of people want to do it as a career too. So as you grow and a lot of times we have to work part time at what we're doing and part time to make money and pay the bills. And I was like, okay, what can help me with public speaking and kind of performances? And I would show the kids magic and the kids would love it. And kids will tell you if you're good or bad right
Yeah.
away too.
Yeah.
They're very honest. And so the kids in elementary school had like a group consciousness, and some of them would say your aura is pretty, and like,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, the kids, and then they go into, in teenage years, they go into like a different frequency, and or adolescence, and then they're able to date and have complex relationship, things. So takes a while to grow, but yeah, I have a lot of hope for the kids. They're so amazing. Alcohol sales are down by 30% in America. I don't know about everywhere else, but that's $800 billion. They're down. So the kids aren't drinking as much. Even a lot of us aren't drinking as much, and we're choosing to remain a high frequency instead of low.
Mm-hmm. Age of Aquarius, indeed. Very cool. And so, Jonathan, in your work, um, I don't, I'm sure that you are working with your intuition with your clients. Do you connect to that? Are you aware of it? And if so, how is that coming forward with your clients, with your life, with your sessions?
Yeah, yeah, and guys, I'm not a psychic, so I don't view your past lives and tell you about them. I guide you to view your own. So it's unique in that way, but we all come into these lives with gifts. We have gifts, abilities. It's harnessing them or not suppressing them so we can use them, hopefully, to help people and for good. So one of my gifts is discernment, is my intuition. I use it in my sessions by one, I set the intention to call upon my ascended masters and maybe other hypnotherapists that I uh, admire that used to do this, but now they're passed on beyond the veil. And so I'll call in and be intentional. And in my sessions, sometimes I'll say things I wouldn't normally say, I think, and it guides them to the exact place where they're meant to go to get the best and deepest healing. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I try to remain open and use that intuition. And everyone has gifts, guys. So we that's one part of the session is bringing out our natural abilities that are we've maybe done for many lifetimes.
Right. Yeah. And really, like when you're in that theta state, it's such a beautiful place to explore that, for that to come out, because you don't have the conscious mind stepping in and blocking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get the conscious mind out of the way. That's what we do with the theta frequency, and we're able to absorb these suggestions. If you're going to do affirmations, do them at morning or really late at night. Um, get to that theta frequency, then do the suggestions.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. And I just want to circle back to something you said earlier that I should have double clicked on. And you were talking about birthmarks. Can you tell us a little bit more? Like, what have you learned in your work around birthmarks?
Yeah, science has no explanation other than epigenetics, and that's like our DNA. But birthmarks are so unique because there's we don't really know why they're there. And what I found, there is actually, I looked it up. There's a book from the 90s on birthmarks, and it's called Birthmark, and it's about past life regression, actually.
Oh,
So I plan on in my book, I'll have a few chapters on birthmarks. So if you have one, let me know. Reach out. I do free introductory calls. So typically, it's a death scene with an emotional charge. So I had a lady with a birthmark on her thigh, her right thigh. She was also scared to go in the woods alone. And so in a past life, she was hiking in the woods alone. It was nighttime, and she slipped on a rock and she fell down the mountain and was impaled in her right leg. Well, when she pulled the stick out, she bled out, and that was the death scene. So it led her to having that birthmark and being scared to be in the woods because
mm,
that's what led to her demise. Um, yeah, so if it's not just any trauma, but it typically has to have an emotional charge to it that is unresolved. And so those birthmarks, they're there for a reason. Oh, I just remembered. I got to tell you this other birthmark story.
Yes.
Um, he had a birthmark on his back, and it was ticklish. He also had a deja vu moment. He was watching the Titanic. At the end of that movie, there's a scene where people are locked in a cage in the bottom of the ship. So he's scared to. Oh, so what ended up happening was the reason he had that deja vu moment was from his past life, where the king made him fight in the Colosseum and made his family watch from a cage.
Oh,
So he was in this past life. He was a servant of the king, but he was a high up, like hospitality. He would set up dinner, and he was very close with the king. And one day he got in an argument with the king's daughter. Well, that wasn't a good idea because the king punished him to fight in the Colosseum, and his family had to watch. They made them watch in the cage, and so when he fought, he had deep shame for one, not for letting this happen to him. He lost his job and his life, and he didn't. He said he didn't fight back hard enough, and I'm
mm,
like, I reshaped that belief that whether you fought hard or not, it would have ended the same.
mm.
And so it's not your fault. So we help release those beliefs that we instill upon ourselves. Well, he was stabbed in the back with a trident, and he's always been scared of tridents, and he right where his birthmark was, and it really hurt him tremendously. So, um, yeah, that one was pretty special.
Fascinating. Hmm. I've never really thought about birthmarks, and I did not know that we did not know where they came from. So that's interesting. Hmm. Very cool. Well, Jonathan, it's been very enlightening hearing all your stories and your work with clients and how it's changed your life. Thank you for sharing everything. I would love for you to share now how folks can work with you.
Yeah, Journeys into Past Lives. So, Journeys into Past Lives is my Instagram, my YouTube. I have some YouTube videos, full length sessions if you want to watch some of those, and some testimonials and a bunch of videos. My Instagram is where most people follow me, Journeys into Past Lives. And I have an app coming out called Journeys into the Subconscious, which might be out by the time this comes out. That's going to have I wanted to give back because one-on-one sessions are never going to be replaced. They're custom, they can guide you deeper. However, some people want to do this daily or can't afford the custom one. So the app is kind of my way of giving back. It's a very affordable. It has daily sessions, so you can do this daily. It has custom sessions where you can type in fear of peanut butter, and it'll create a script for you in a therapy session in my voice. So thank you, technology, for that being available to us. It also has journeys. It has my what I call journeys is a past life journeys, this life journey, future life journeys. We can go to future
Mhm.
lives. We don't. I usually don't because a lot of people just want the past lives, but it's pretty fun to see we make it. Spoiler alert: we have flying cars and holograms, and it's really going to be amazing. We just got to get through this. Um, the news uses hypnosis every day on people, and it's just instilled on us. So we, focus on your circle of what influences. Be the best version of you can be, and yeah, give me a follow. And I do free introductory calls, and I teach what I do too. So if you want to
Amazing.
learn.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to have a lot of folks interested after all these stories. And I mean, if if not, you never know how this will heal you. And that's the thing with the subconscious is that the ways that the subconscious is governing your life and your reality, you are not aware of. And so when you do subconscious work, the way that your life changes is probably something you could never imagine.
Yeah, it really is, and it's a superpower tool that we can use for a positive. And I really every session I don't know how it's gonna work. Sometimes they come to me with deep issues. A lot of times I've dealt with it before or helped people with it. However, sometimes I don't know, and the beauty of the higher self, the subconscious that comes through to help hold
Mhm.
space and help the people to empower themselves is. really remarkable. And I'm just honored to do this with people from all over the world.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, one last question for you, and that is, after all these sessions, I'm sure there's like some big higher perspective lessons that have fallen out. If you could say one to pass on to this community, what would it be?
Yeah, and really, I would like people to live in abundance and not fear. Don't feed the fears and don't fear death. It's not the end. We have a higher purpose afterward. And with these sessions, we've all been male and female, rich and poor, dark skin, light skin, all different cultures. So I would hope it would help people see beyond the veil and go into love and nurturing and understanding rather than viewing our physical differences and
Mhm.
connect with people on a deeper level. We need one foot in the spiritual, one foot in the 3D. It's a good balance to have both. And through this work, it'll help people. I hope it helps people just love each other more and vibrate at that higher frequency.
Love each other more. I've never thought about past life taking you there, and I see it so clearly because, like you said, it really just points to our oneness, like it levels the field. So gorgeous. Okay, thank you so much, Jonathan. Thanks, Spirit Club, and we'll see you soon. Bye.